You are taller in the morning than at night. Every single morning when you wake up, you are about 1 centimeter taller than you were when you went to sleep. When you lie down, the cartilage between your vertebrae decompresses and expands overnight. By the time you've been upright for a few hours, gravity has pushed it all back down and you've shrunk back down to your regular height. So technically, if you ever had a dream about being taller, your best shot is getting measured at the moment you roll out of bed, right after you stumble to the bathroom. A book predicted the Titanic's disaster 14 years before it happened. In 1898, a novelist named Morgan Robertson published a book called The Wreck of the Titan. In it, a massive British ocean liner called the Titan is described as unsinkable. It sets sail in April, and it hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic. It sinks. There aren't enough lifeboats. The real Titanic sank in April 1912, and it hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic. There weren't enough lifeboats. The fictional ship was called the Titan, and the real ship was called the Titanic, and the book published 14 years before the disaster. And Morgan Robertson died in 1915 and never gave a satisfying explanation for how he got that right. Nobody has ever given a satisfying explanation for how he got that right. There are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. When somebody says, there are billions of stars in our galaxy, your brain pictures something incomprehensibly vast. Now consider this. Scientists estimate that there are approximately 3 trillion trees on Earth. The Milky Way, somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. There are more trees on this one planet than stars in the entire galaxy we live in. You've probably walked past more trees in your lifetime than there are stars that your naked eye will ever see. If you've ever messed with a crow, I'm not really too sure that's a good idea, but if you've ever messed with a crow, thrown something at one, scared one off, looked at one wrong, there is a real chance that it told its friends about you. Crows have demonstrated the ability to recognize individual human faces and communicate that information to other crows, and continue targeting specific people years later. They're like the reverse flash of birds. Researchers at the University of Washington proved this by wearing masks while trapping crows on campus. When they returned wearing the same masks months later, having done nothing to them in a while, the crows dive-bombed, scolded, and harassed them immediately. The crows that haven't even been there the first time also attacked, because apparently the original crows had spread the word. So in a crow's eyes, you might have 5 stars. Your phone has made your brain hallucinate. Up to 89% of college students report experiencing phantom vibrations, the sensation that your phone is buzzing when it isn't. This is a documented psychological phenomenon. Your brain becomes so tuned to the specific sensation of your phone vibrating and then it starts misfiring. A light muscle twitch, a brush of fabric against your leg, a random nerve signal, and your brain interprets it all as a notification. You've been conditioned to hallucinate your phone. And the thing is, we've only had smartphones for about 15 years and they've already rewired the human nervous system. In several countries, escaping from prison is not a crime. Germany, Austria, Mexico, and a handful of other countries operate under the legal philosophy that the desire to be free is a fundamental human instinct. So, the act of escaping prison by itself carries no additional criminal penalty. Their logic is you can't punish someone for doing what every living thing is hardwired to do. Of course, the authorities will still chase you. You'll still serve your original sentence if caught. And if you hurt anyone or broke laws during the escape, those are separate charges, but the escape itself, it's not a crime. This is a real law in multiple countries. Look it up. You're gonna have to bear with me now. This is gonna sound a little crazy. A day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. Yeah, you heard that right. A day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. Venus rotates so slowly on its axis that a single day, one full rotation, takes 243 Earth days. But Venus orbits the Sun in just 225 Earth days, which means on Venus, a year ends before the day does. You could complete an entire trip around the Sun before you watch one sunrise. And to make it stranger, Venus rotates backwards compared to most planets. If you stood on Venus and you could see through the thick clouds, the sun would rise in the west and set in the east. Identical twins don't have the same fingerprints. They share essentially the same DNA, same face, same blood type, same genetic blueprint. But fingerprints aren't genetic. They're shaped by the physical environment inside the womb, how the umbilical cord is positioned, how fast the fingers grow, which way the baby is pressing against the uterine wall. These micro differences happen independently for each twin, so even two people with the exact same DNA grow completely unique prints, which is why, despite what every thriller movie suggests, you can't blame your crimes on your identical twin, because your fingerprints will give you away. Cleopatra lived closer to the moon landing than to the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built in 2560 BC. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC. That's roughly 2,500 years after the pyramids were completed. The moon landing happened in 1969 AD, only about 2,000 years after Cleopatra. So, Cleopatra, the woman we think of as ancient Egyptian history, was actually closer in time to Neil Armstrong walking on the moon than she was to the people who built the pyramids. The pyramids are so old that they were already ancient history to ancient history. This one tends to break people's brains, and it should. The Caesar salad was invented in Mexico, not in Rome, not in Italy, not in France. In Tijuana, Mexico, in 1924, by an Italian immigrant named Cesar Cardini, who was running a restaurant just across the border from San Diego. The story goes he threw it together on a busy 4th of July weekend when the kitchen was running low on supplies. Tossed romaine, croutons, parmesan, Worcestershire, lemon, olive oil, and egg together tableside to stretch what he had. The dish spread to Hollywood, celebrities brought it back, and it went global. The most Italian sounding salad on any menu was invented at a border restaurant in Baja, California, during a supply shortage. You are traveling 1.3 million miles every single day. You just can't feel it. Right now, sitting completely still, you are moving. Earth rotates on its axis at about 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. It orbits the sun at around 67,000 miles per hour. The solar system moves through the Milky Way at about 490,000 miles per hour, and the Milky Way itself is moving through space towards something called the Great Attractor at around 1.3 million miles per hour. Total that up and you're covering the most incomprehensible distance every single second of your life.